Candidates for governor debating tonight include 2 Republicans and 5 Democrats. Democrat State School Superintendent Tony Thurmond did not meet the criteria for tonight's debate. We have live team coverage for you on this with our KCRA3 political director Ashley Zavala breaking down what to expect tonight.
And first, KCRA3's Gulston Dart is covering the debate for us in Los Angeles. Gulston?
Hi, Edie and Curtis. Yeah, it's already been a lively afternoon here. They're just now wrapping up the L.A. mayoral debate with the 3 candidates, and we just heard the announcement that they're now breaking for about an hour, and the governor's candidate debate coming up again in about an hour from now at 7 o'clock. And you mentioned those 7 candidates. Let's get them to you here. Let's name them. Talking about former U.S. Health and Human Services Secretary and former State AG Javier Becerra, also Chad Bianco, the Riverside County Sheriff, and Fox News host Steve Hilton, who also participated in UK politics before he became a citizen here, San Jose Mayor Matt Mahan, and former Congresswoman Katie Porter, as well as environmental advocate and billionaire investor Tom Steyer, former Assembly Speaker and LA Mayor Antonio Villaraigosa. They are all hoping to break away from the pack, as a recent poll done by the Democratic Party finds that there are 2 candidates right now that are neck and neck. The California Democratic Party found that Becerra and Hilton are tied for first place right now. They have 18% report. That's in a poll that is a couple of days old. It's the first time that a Democrat and Republican have been tied for the lead since the party started doing for these polls and paying for them. And Republican Chad Bianco, he is right there in the mix too, a close third with 14%. Then they're followed by Democrat Tom Steyer with 12%, and then Democrats Katie Porter and Matt Mahan are at 8 and 7% respectively. The number of undecided voters is sitting at 14%. We're going to see if what any of them has to say will change the needle any bit here for voters who, as you know, are already now getting their ballots in the mail. We will have full live coverage here from the Skirball Center starting at 7 o'clock. No commercials, and then we'll be around for reaction as the candidates talk about their performance in the spin room after that. So we'll have much more coming up on KCRA3 News later tonight. For now, I'm reporting from L.A., Gulston Dart, KCRA3 News, guys.
Yeah, Gulston, been a busy week for these candidates. They also debated just last night on CNN. How do you expect tonight's debate may be different?
Well, I mean, you look at what they did last night, and they had a couple of moments there where people were going after each other. And look, if you're not in that top 3, then, you know, you're going to be gunning for Javier Becerra. You can expect to see Katie Porter trying to move up in the poll numbers and in the ranks with voters by perhaps going after him. I mean, he will be taking incoming fire, as it were, as will Steve Hilton. So, you know, their job tonight is to not step in it, to do a good job, to do a solid job, and move on, not make any mistakes. And of course, everyone else is trying to figure out a way that they can resonate with voters by what they say or do. So again, that's coming up in about an hour. We'll have it all for you.
All right, Gulston, thank you. And tonight, all the candidates, they're hoping for that breakout moment. KCRA3 political director Ashley Zavala joins us now. And Ashley, what can we expect tonight?
Right. Well, tonight is the last big broadcasted debate among these top candidates. Obviously, this depends on who you ask, but political strategists from both political parties will tell you none of these candidates in the last 3 debates have emerged as a standout among the pack. No one has dominated the conversation. So tonight serves as that last opportunity. Let's take a look again at those polling numbers. Just a couple of things I just want to point out. First, 12% of voters, according to this poll that was paid for by the California Democratic Party, are still undecided in this race. Also, the margin of error here is about 7.5%. So you see that these numbers are still very close together, and someone needs to break out, at least 2 of them, I mean, because of our primary system. This poll paid for by the California Democratic Party, again, shows Republican former TV commentator Steve Hilton and Democratic former U.S. Health and Human Services Secretary Javier Becerra tied at the top with 18%. And so that's obviously something to watch for tonight, how Hilton and Becerra move through this debate.
Definitely. I wanted to piggyback on something that Gulston was just talking about, and that was Becerra took a lot of hits last night. Right. So today, as you're kind of watching the fallout, what have you observed from that?
Right. Well, that was a CNN debate. It was a 2-hour-long debate, and then there was like a half-hour panel right after after. And one of President Joe Biden's former Department of Justice officials was on that panel and essentially said that Xavier Becerra was not effective in the Biden administration. She said essentially you could ask any cabinet official that. And so that clip has been cut into digital ads by some of the other campaigns. Antonio Villaraigosa's campaign, a lot of people have just been circulating this clip online, and that has prompted a conversation from Biden administration former officials weighing in on whether he's effective or not. Jill Biden's spokesman, Michael LaRosa, came out this afternoon and said, yep, that's exactly right. We have other folks in the White House domestic policy area who said, no, that's not true. And so now we're really seeing some of these former federal officials weigh in on Becerra's record.
But a lot of people piling on.
Exactly.
We have 2 Republicans in the race, and so they're competing for the Republican vote. How do we see Hilton and Bianco trying to attract that Republican vote?
Right. I mean, at this point, again, looking at the numbers, it's sort of a toss-up between these two. And it looks like, according to the last 3 debates, they have maybe a pact or something to not tear each other apart. They really seem to be on the same page when it comes to, again, not attacking each other. They have their own stories, they have their own perspectives. But last night in the debate, for example, we saw one of the questions was, how would you describe Governor Gavin Newsom in 1 word? Hilton went first. He said failure, or said failed, and then Bianco followed him, and he said, oh, Steve, you took my word. And we've seen some cordial moments like that, and I expect to see more tonight.
So after these 2 debates back to back with the lowest polling candidates, if they don't get a bounce out of these 2 debates, do you expect that we could see some of them dropping out? There's been a lot of pressure on the Democrats for the lower polling candidates to drop out so they're not splitting up the vote between all the Democrats.
Right. I mean, at this point, just in my conversations with the campaigns, with the candidates themselves, I'm talking about Tony Thurmond, Antonio Villaraigosa, those Matt Mahan, I mean, these people who are at the bottom of the barrel, I'm not getting any indication that anyone plans to drop out, especially because their names are already going to be on the ballot. Everyone who you'll see on stage tonight, everyone you see on the ballot is going to be set because everyone filed by that deadline in March. There is no scrubbing it. And so at this point, there's still tons of time. Some might say an eternity in politics between now and June 2nd. So a lot of these candidates are ready to be patient, sit back and watch. We should note Xavier Becerra rose in the rankings in these polls within a matter of days. Who knows what could happen?